I'm here. Can you see me?
No, but we can hear you, Geraldine. It's fine.
Oh, okay, because, all right, I've done Zoom before, but it's complicated.
Okay.
Because I don't have a computer.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think the only person now not logged in is Bob, and we're not sure what his status is. So we can check with him afterwards, but I think we'll get started. And what I wanted to do was just take these slightly out of order. Does everyone have the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and
Posted up.
it's
Courtney
on the
posted it.
screen now. Okay, so before we go to the minutes, if you'll look down, it says membership update. And I wanted to let you know that Andy Freeman has moved from the planning board to the ZBA. And as a result of that, the membership on CPC is attached to the planning board. And so we've spoken to the planning board, and they've recommended David Mead Fox as a potential replacement for Andy. And David, I assume that there hasn't been any planning board meeting to actually approve that at this point.
No, there is not, and it's not clear when there will be, but hopefully we'll get one soon, or we could do maybe a quick meeting just to deal with this issue, because I believe I would need to get first officially approved by the planning board and then go to the select board.
Right.
No, he doesn't have to go to the select board.
Right.
No? Okay.
Okay. So that being said, welcome, David. We anticipate you will be official at this moment. We'll assume you're an observer from the planning board, but feel free to join in any way.
Okay, correct. Thank you.
And we also, I'd like to extend our thanks to Andy, and I think it's our practice to send a letter of appreciation for their participation on the CPC. And I don't know if we need a motion to that effect or not, but can't hurt. So I'd like to.
So move.
Very good, Jan. Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mike.
Very good. Thank you, Michael. It's been moved and seconded to send a letter of appreciation to Andy Freeman for his service on CPC. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Now let's do the minutes. Let's take a minute.
Before you do the minutes,
Yep, go ahead.
if I write him a letter and sign all your names, is that good?
Yes.
Yes, that's fine. Okay. So the minutes, does everyone have the minutes before them?
No. But
All right, take a minute, get out the minutes.
I don't know how to find them.
They were an attachment that was just sent.
Oh, well, okay.
And I don't know how to post them.
and if you put them up on the screen, then you lose your Zoom screen. So
Yeah.
we
That's
should
all
have
right.
downloaded them.
Oh, okay.
If you have a tablet and a phone, you can be on the Zoom on phone and have the document on the tablet.
Yeah.
Okay, which means I have to go back to an email that Mary sent?
Yeah, that's right. We'll go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
If that's
Okay.
okay, Geraldine.
Yeah, fine.
Are there comments about the minutes of the meeting of, wow, this is a long time ago, February 12th?
Yikes. Wow.
Yeah.
And I did have one, I was mentioning it to Mary before, is that on each of the motions that we approve for town meeting, we show the amount approved. And for whatever reason, the amount on the cemetery grant was missing. And I was asking, if my recollection is correct, it was 10,000, but I just wanted to check with you.
I think you
That's what it
approved
says on the spreadsheet, yes.
I think you approved it previously. She came to the February 12th meeting to request more money.
Right.
Not,
Oh, is that right? Ah.
and you
thank
did not increase it.
Right.
Okay, so we could either show that or we could simply put in the 10,000.
Yeah.
But we will correct it. So are there any other comments or questions about the minutes? There being none, someone want to move
I
the
will
minutes?
move that we accept them as amended.
Very good. Is there a second?
This is Tom. I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any other discussion? There being none, all those in favor of the minutes, say aye. Aye or nay. Thank you. Any
Yes,
no-
I'm going to, Mike, I'm going to abstain because I wasn't there.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, so now we really move to the reason that we are meeting today. And so, and I'm going to ask Courtney for an update. Courtney, my understanding is that the town meeting is still scheduled for October 5th. Was there any change last night?
No, there was no change yesterday. It is still for October 5th. The big question really is just in what way will town meeting take place?
Right.
Helen Miranda Wilson is really pushing for virtual town meeting, but the legislature does not currently allow that. So basically, the good thing about it being pushed to October 5th is that it gives us time to develop many different options and plans for holding town meeting. And there's a couple of staff members, myself, Mia Baumgarten, Mike Travato and Jennifer Conjal, the town clerk, who are working on different ways that we might be able to hold town meeting, but it's up to the legislature, but October 5th.
Thank you very much, Courtney. So since it has been moved from April to October, it means that the warrant is still open. And that we have the ability, should we choose to have another round of grants to be included in, whether it's October 5th or whenever, but in a fall town meeting.
Right.
Courtney, I assume two things, is that there'd be some kind of continuing resolution to have it on 1/12 of the budget for last year or something along those lines?
I don't know how the budget will work. But the legislature has pretty much just told us, though, that that's what would happen, that's what we'd be allowed to do.
And
Yeah.
no CPC funds will be available until town meeting approval in October or whenever.
I think so, yes.
That'd be correct.
Yeah.
So does anyone have questions about that or comments?
I just wanted to note, Gary, that since it's October 5th for now,
Yeah.
it's 5 weeks prior is when the warrant needs to be closed. So I would imagine that in July and August, the board would be looking again at the warrant articles, what they want to add and keep in the warrant. Because remember, the select board did make a ton of recommendations to insert and recommend a lot of articles prior to this. So they're going to have to look back again and see what they want to keep, what they think should be in there. And then I would imagine that the latest it can be closed is that last week in August. So they would meet August 25th. And that would probably be the latest date that we could close out the warrant.
Thank
So
you.
that would mean, I think, Gary, if we were going to have another round, our date usually is July 15, I think, for articles, requests to come in. So we would have to plan to meet right after that if we were going to do anything.
Jan, we have proposed a possible schedule if we
Aha,
would have that,
okay.
and we'll get to that.
Okay.
But you are right that we will have a busy end of August timeframe to have them all in and conduct any hearings that may be necessary. And so here's my thinking. I'll throw it out there and please do respond. It's crazy times. And we just don't know what the needs will be going forward. But Elaine and I participated in a meeting with the other Lower Cape towns, and a number of them are doing essentially emergency housing, CPC grants, with the potential of them being for keeping people in their homes. Again, we don't know whether we will need those or not, and so I would throw that out there as a possibility. The other thing is there may be opportunities that will come to us from anywhere for projects where we could employ local people, which may be hugely beneficial going forward. We just don't know. And so my thought was, let's open up a grant round and see what ideas we get for either of those possibilities. If we don't do that, it means that no CPC money other than what we have already allocated or already approved will be available until the next town meeting, which theoretically will be in sometime in the spring of 2021. And we would not have the funds available. If we did have a new grant round, we could have the funds available beginning in October if we really needed them. And if the situation was such that we didn't need them, perhaps we could have some caveat that they would either come back or be used for other purposes. So that was my idea, and I opened up to other comments.
Gary, can I ask a question?
Sure, Elaine.
I just want to make sure, and maybe Courtney can confirm, do we know for sure that new articles are going to be accepted?
So, I mean, that's a tough question because we've gotten a lot of questions from boards and committees in terms of wanting to put new articles on with the extension and delay of town meeting. I think it will really depend on what's going to be pertinent. I mean, these funds go to great things, as you all know. So I think that something like another round of your things going on the warrant, I think would be okay. I think what's going to happen in October, honestly, is we may very well be in the same position we're in now, where at some point we have to hold town meeting. So if we have to hold it in October, no matter the format, we're going to want to get it done and get it done quick. So as long as there's things that are pertinent and important and really have value, and everything that goes up to town meeting usually does, but things like this I think would be totally acceptable. I just got an email from Dan, and he's going to try and work on as much of town meeting as he can. So before he departs, I would think that some new articles can be added. I think that the goal is not to have to look at, a huge warrant, but I think things that are pertinent would be acceptable.
Yeah, and I guess maybe since the funding is already there, that might actually help.
Exactly.
I just wanted to make sure that we felt there was really an opening to do this.
Unfortunately, I have not heard a strong, hard confirmation from Dan or Mike that it can be done. But to me, that's just saying it can't. There's no reason it can't be done. So I think you should try for it.
Right.
Elaine, and also to add to what Courtney was saying, I did email that specific question to Mike Travato, our assistant town administrator, and he did say that the warrant is open, and so the potential is there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure.
I think if they're going to allow things to be subtracted, then they have to allow things to be added as well, right?
I would think you're right, Jen.
Yeah.
Elaine, you have another question?
Well, no, just, as you were saying, the meeting of the 8 Lower Cape towns that Gary and I attended, talked a lot about how the repercussions of this whole thing are going to go on for a long time. And we're going to see probably an uptick in needs, especially for things like rental assistance as time goes by. And that was confirmed by some of, in Wellfleet, when the virus hit the shellfishing community and they couldn't have Oyster Fest that year, the local organizations that provide help found that it was months and months and months afterwards when people continued to need help. So I do think if we have an opportunity to have some extra funding available without having to wait a whole nother year, it's definitely worth doing, or, you know, opening up the possibility.
I don't think there's much of a downside risk to it. And if we go forward, you know, one thing we all have right now is a lot of time. So I think if we do go forward with it and it is accepted into the warrant, then it would be prudent for us to make provision for the use of those funds now, as opposed to waiting till next year. So,
That makes sense to me.
okay.
All right, and what are we talking about in terms of funds that are for any purpose right now?
So if we'll skip around a little bit and then we'll come back, and because I think we have to approve this grant round. If you look at the budget, Mary sent out a budget.
Yeah,
Courtney, can you throw that up on the screen now?
Gary, we always have a July 15th deadline.
True. I don't know what that, I think you and I went back and forth. It was about whether we have a special town meeting, but this is a regular town meeting. But just to, I think to be safe, we can approve.
Okay.
Yeah, we can approve it and it doesn't hurt anything. Okay, so can you see the amount on
Yeah.
the screen now? Okay, so Mary and I have tried to get an update from accounting, but we haven't as of this date. But as of the last CPC reporting that we did, we have approximately, if you look at the bottom, $942,000 available. And that is money that we are assured of either having already gotten, or in the case of the state bonus, I don't know if we actually have the money in hand or we've just been notified, but that 82,000 of the bonus for the surplus is included in that figure.
okay.
Mary, anything you want to add to that?
Well, I believe we have it, but I don't have confirmation from accounting.
Okay, but Mary, is that correct that we have approximately 940,000?
That's right. The CP2 figure was what we worked with. Then we got the bonus. And then we spent 199,086 of that fund balance. So there's the 942 and 19 left.
What'd we spend that on, Mary?
Mary, it's a little bit misleading, Jan. We haven't
Well,
actually
do you
spent
see?
it. That's
Well, we haven't, we approved it to go.
The amount that we approved.
Yeah.
Oh,
We have it, yeah.
Actually given it, yeah,
We haven't planned. It has to be approved at town meeting.
okay. Okay. Very generous amount. And
Yeah.
this can go to, this is after all the earmarked of the third and a third and a third and all that has been allocated.
That's right. Are you seeing that screen?
Yep.
You put up, yeah.
I just, making it clear in my head.
Right. So the housing reserve is taken, the open space reserve, and historic reserve. Then projected money for any project, we used all of that. So the fund balance, we know that we have that money. Fund balance is what we have.
That's really wonderful. Okay.
Any other questions about
So-
the funds available? Go ahead, Tom.
So Gary, is the 942 what we have available, or is it
Correct.
942?
No,
Okay.
942 is what we would have available potentially to fund projects. And that's the money in hand. That's not talking about tapping into next year's allocation.
So if we focused, for example, on rental assistance, would we still do the same things that we've done before? Not break any of the rules or regulations? And
Tom, I think that's a question about what would work best, and it actually gets a little bit complicated because what other towns are doing, just to report from that meeting and what we've seen on the CPC website, is that
Yep.
they're putting a large amount of money, relatively large amount of money, into their trust funds without designation other than for emergency services in the pandemic. So Tom, we don't know honestly whether it could also be mortgage assistance, or it could be,
Yeah,
other things that are housing related that would keep people in their homes.
yeah, that's where I was going, because I know
Right.
we've done
So-
some mortgage. Rental assistance says rental.
Right.
Mortgage is something
So
totally different.
it's not
Oh.
limited necessarily to rental.
Okay, perfect.
And number two is, I don't want to get into the weeds too much, but our trust fund, our housing trust fund predates the state legislation for trust funds, and it has some quirks to it. So I'm not sure we could do the same thing in terms of just putting it into our trust fund, but we will make the appropriate arrangement within town funds to keep and administer that money.
Thank you.
So are there other questions about the funds themselves?
Gary?
Go ahead, Elaine.
So the funds available are the 942,000,
That's our understanding.
but should what we've already approved get voted, it's minus the 717,000, right?
No, Elaine, my understanding is the 717,000, if it were all approved at the town meeting, would still leave us $942,000 to be allocated to projects.
Wow.
Correct.
Yeah, so we're from a funds availability, we're in good shape in support of some of these things.
How are we going to advertise under these circumstances to be fair for the July 15 deadline? Get people, the word out to people that they can, put in a request for funds.
So I also sent you the ad for the newspaper, but I would put it on Facebook. I think I already have it on the website
Okay,
on our page, but maybe Courtney could do extra advertising. And I've also notified a few of the parties that have used us in the past.
So
okay, that's good, because we really need to be fair to feel good about everybody having a chance to come for emergency money.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, the July 15th deadline is always out there, or you can always apply at any time. We just make decisions until fall.
Yeah.
Except for this.
But you're right, Jan, that we'll make a special effort to get the word out about this as we sit. So it's still 2 months away, roughly. So I think it would give people time to develop their ideas, but also the various representatives should go back to their committees and say, okay, there's money available. What can we do just generally, but also what can we do that may be in support of the impact of the pandemic?
Right. Okay.
Okay, so the last thing I want, before we actually move to vote, I wanted to address a question I think Jan raised. You also have a schedule that we put together, actually we meaning Mary, put together, and it simply states that if we had a grant round that closed on July 15th, we'd have a meeting on July 22nd to see what came in. And then 2 weeks later, on August 5th, we would have presentations.
Hearings.
And then on the 22nd, we would need to have made decisions so that we could put it to the select board. They have a meeting on the 25th of August. So it can be done in the time allowed, and I think it can be done reasonably.
Good.
So does anyone have any comments or questions about the timing of that?
I think we'll still be a lot inside, so we should have time to do it. Yeah.
Right. We may have time on our side in this case.
Yeah.
All right. So are there other comments or questions about opening up another grant room? There being, go ahead, Elaine, I'm sorry.
Do we really want to wait a week after these applications are due, or would we want to meet the next day to try to make sure we're on a schedule that could potentially, facilitate getting on the warrant?
Well, it probably will require that I go in and see if anybody mails physical applications in.
And I don't know whether, Elaine, in these strange times, whether electronic copies are enough or we have to provide hard copy, and some of the material may be such that it doesn't allow it to be replicated easily. So
Okay.
Right.
just gives us a little time.
Time to read through any.
Yes, exactly. And think about it, and also,
Yeah.
query people about it. So,
Right.
okay. But this schedule is just a proposed schedule. It's not set in stone. It's just to give you an idea of, it'll be
It
a
can be
busy,
done.
yeah, it'll be a busy couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would then entertain a motion to open a grant round July with a goal of July 15th as a deadline for CPC.
So moved, Michael.
Thank you, Michael, for CPC funds of FY 2021.
Second,
Great. Is there further discussion? There being none, I'd like to ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And are there any nays or abstentions? So great. So I think that is a really necessary and wonderful thing that we'll do for the town potentially, and we'll see what ideas come in. But you know what? Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, anything that is reasonable, especially in support of anything that has to do with either employment or assistance, I think would be really terrific in these times.
Gary?
Yes, Elaine.
Gary and I also talked with Stuart Saganor of the Community Preservation Coalition about potential things, because they were putting that forward. And Stuart said that the distribution in October is going to be higher than it's been in a while. So that was kind of very good news too.
right.
That supports, I think, doing this.
I think that we may have additional funds next year available, Elaine?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
May I ask, is there some way, obviously the housing is a big need and emergency situation, but also working jobs. And we don't have, it's not one of our categories per se. But I wonder, and maybe Courtney can think about this a little bit. Are there any projects that people who would be unemployed because of fishing or restaurants could do that would improve the town, like painting town hall room or working on the cemetery, or doing something that would provide income, that the town pays people to do things that need to be done. And that would not ordinarily be something that would come into us, but it's something that will be very necessary.
I second that, Jan. I think we have to put on our thinking caps, but we're all too young to remember the WPA. But
Yeah.
if there was some project that was worthwhile, that
Right,
put people to work,
right. Fixing Uncle Tim's Bridge again, or
Would-
whatever.
it
Yeah,
could be an open space project. It could be a historic project.
Right. right.
It could be a housing. I mean, if we had housing to fix. I mean, yeah. So I think we all have to put our thinking caps on and talk to people and see if we can't come up with ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we've talked about this opening up a round, and we've gone through the timetable and the amount of money that we have available. So we will get the word out on this, and then we will plan to have another meeting in July at the latest to talk about what we get for a response.
Yep.
So I wanted to have Mary give an update. We're down to project update.
Was that a project update or project concerns?
How about both, Mary?
Either or.
Well, the only update is the one we've been very concerned about, and that's the pavilion. And so I checked with Becky, because when last I heard from her, they were still waiting to do pilings. So they now have a date for June 4th for the pavilion to be constructed. And it's expected to go up very quickly. So I don't know that anybody can use it, but it will be up. It will be there.
Mike, are you still with us?
Yes, indeed.
Has that come before the Conscom and been approved?
I'd have to go back to the minutes, but I believe it has. I think when it was initially applied for, they put in an application to do that work for the pavilion, and it was approved.
Terrific. So our assumption is that's moving forward, and we hopefully that in June it will be. June is for the pylons, Mary, or June is for the completion of the structure?
I understood it was the structure. The company was coming and going to put it in. I haven't seen pilings go in yet, but once they're in, then
It goes up quickly.
it goes up really fast. Yes.
Okay, so let's assume that. The other thing that was in the minutes was the solar roof on Pres Hall, and whether that there was a historic preservation restriction, and we understand that's been resolved, Mary?
It's been resolved. They have the slate roof on Preservation Hall, and that's historically accurate. And I guess they wanted to replace the roof, and they worked it out with the Historic Commission. The slate roof will remain. The panels are or will be on top of the slate roof. So it was resolved.
Hey, Mary, and
Yes.
Gary, I don't think you have the latest update.
Oh, I guess I don't.
We had a meeting Monday.
Oh, no.
Today,
definitely.
Wednesday? We had a meeting Monday. We had a preservation restriction in place back in 2012. We had the attorney, KP Law, get involved. They sent Dan a note the other night. Suffice it to say, we're still not there yet. The KP Law made their recommendation. We met with Preservation Hall. We still got a few more things to do to complete this. So I would say hopefully in the next 30 days we'll have this all done. It's very legality wise, it's very complicated.
So, Tom, the net is that they're waiting to get approval to put in solar. Is that, and the question is what they can do to the roof?
Yeah, here's the net. The Historical Commission approved both the roof, the shingles, and the solar. With one item stating that if this preservation restriction is okayed by the town or approved by the town, that they can do this, or said another way, do we have as a commission the right to approve it? That's where it gets complicated. Then we can move forward. That's where it is right now, Garrett.
Okay.
We approved it. We're waiting on the preservation restriction guidelines or wording to be approved, and then we can move forward. The reason behind all this is the town owns the land.
Yeah.
The Preservation Hall owns the building. So who has the right to say what, basically? So we met Monday. Preservation Hall's attorney, Bruce, he's gonna go talk to KP Law. Hopefully get this resolved in the next couple of weeks. We'll have another meeting.
Great. Thanks, Tom.
All right?
Mary, any other updates or concerns?
Well,
with
those are the two that we had concerns about. And then back to the Preservation Hall, they never got the very strong Mass Historic Commission preservation restriction originally because they leased from the town. And then since then, KP Law has felt that we should have preservation restrictions on leased buildings. So I bow to whatever the Historic Commission does with them.
Yep.
All right. Any other issues and concerns with projects? Because I forgive me, Mary, I skipped over administrative funds. So it's a topic near and dear to Mary's heart. And so, you know, after July 1, we will have to have I guess in the continuing resolution that the town will adopt, will be funding for the administrative expenses of the CPC. Is that correct, Mary?
That's correct. And as usual, I'm not going away, but I was not going to ask for a raise because I am slightly concerned about that interval between July 1st and October 5th. So usually my salary is about half of the administrative funds, then there's a couple of thousand for the coalition, and there's various monies spent on advertising mainly, and any other small expenses. So I just was, kind of wanting to be cautious that we don't go over, because I think you do want me
Yeah.
for free. but I figured I could just continue at my basic salary. I might look for a couple of holidays.
Well, Mary, you'll be much more busy this summer than you will have in the past since we have this grant round.
Well, I have an agreement where I actually cannot work more than a certain number of hours.
No, I'm just saying, right, we want to make sure, right. So
Right.
Maybe we should either modify or take another vote to approve the expenses associated with a July 15th grant round. And that would include the advertising and the administrative costs. Do you think that's necessary?
No, I don't really think so. I'm just a little concerned about it, but I think we have money to, well, we don't know what the money is, but I think we will have money to cover the administrative expenses.
All right. So is that the consensus that we don't need a separate vote?
I don't think so.
Yes.
Yep.
That sounds fine. All right, so we'll be aware of that. Okay, are there any other items, any mail things, any updates? Mary, we approved the payment of the administrative fee to the coalition. Did we actually pay that money?
Yes, that was what we did back in February and got it paid before it happened. So that was good. And the only mail I've been receiving would be email. I have not been in to check. I don't think there's any mail in the file.
Courtney, are you still with us? If not, you know what, Mary, you could send Courtney an email, and that's what we've done, and just ask her to check and see if there's any mail in the folder.
Right. And I might be going in.
I'm going in tomorrow, Mary. If you want me to check, I can.
Yeah, you know where that is? At the file under the.
Yeah, can you just send me an email to remind me, though?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, go ahead, Elaine.
Just back under existing projects, I'd just love for the group to know that the 2 Habitat houses on Durkee Lane are moving ahead of schedule, and families should be moving in June. When they had to stop using volunteers, their small professional staff just went bananas working. And so in every town, all the Habitat buildings are a little ahead of schedule. So that's a very positive project, and having received the CPA funds, I think that's something to really celebrate.
Will
I
they,
think that may be a case of addition by subtraction, but that goes faster without the volunteers, but.
Yeah, well, I guess the volunteers are going to have to, in the future, work on other projects, but, you know, and the homeowners too, but, you know, they didn't want to stop, you know, they were careful they really didn't work on it for a while, but then slowly got back to it. So that's, you know, just a nice positive thing. And the Housing Authority is launching a newsletter, and an online one, which you can sign up for on the town website or on the Housing Authority website. And I think we'll have a feature on the Habitat houses in our first newsletter.
Yes,
Will
do
they-
sign up. It's very quick. You just hit that button and it put in your email and you're all set. I would also say, Elaine, you could, we have now, we instituted a helpline in the emergency, and we've been advertising that, and we've been getting quite a few calls on it for people looking for different things by way of assistance. So I would say that's a CPC funded helpline that has been very successful.
Right.
It's administered by the CDP in Eastham.
Elaine, will they be able to have a celebration of the opening with distancing and masks, or?
I don't think so. I think best
No,
to be
no.
virtual, but stay tuned.
Okay. Is there anything else by way of updates? Anything from any of the other groups?
No?
All righty.
Nope.
Yes, Gary,
Yes, go ahead, Dave.
I just had kind of a clarification question as an observer.
Sure.
I'm not sure how you normally do this, but given these extraordinary times, I'm getting back to the, I guess, kind of the process about the July 15th grant application deadline. And is it permissible or is it helpful when this is publicized to actually list categories that the CPC has would be receptive to? So just thinking about our conversation, that could be rental funds, mortgage assistance, local employment, and maybe food assistance. And actually put that in the announcement to encourage people to help people realize they could apply for under those categories.
Mary, would that be now? Let me just go back and comment on the food assistance. So
Yeah.
David, we have 4 buckets.
Yeah, right. No, I realize. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know about the food assistance, but the other 3 certainly fit. I don't know, Mary, can we embellish our?
I can, did you get the ad I put in? It has the basic categories, but it could embellish a little bit about how the housing in particular would be useful for assistance, mortgage, and other projects possibly could help with people that are unemployed if there's something in those categories.
I think we could certainly put a premium. I think we would look favorably on any application that had a local employment component to it. I think that would enhance their application. And I think just the idea of be creative in these crazy times, you know.
And I assume you would send this information to out as widely as possible, like all the department heads in the town, and there's that town-wide email list,
Right.
for example, that could be utilized. in addition to the
Courtney,
Yep.
can we, once Mary finishes writing it up, will you send that out?
And sorry, what was it?
Send it out to the email list, you know, Dan's email list of town committees and,
Yeah. I can send it.
okay. Thank you, David.
And the forum list, maybe?
Couldn't hurt.
Yeah, good idea.
Heard, right?
Right.
Yeah. And the other thing, just not to put too fine a point on it, but that given these times and people being anxious and worried and all, it might be worth repeatedly sending out the information. I don't mean daily, obviously, but more than once. You know, every 2 or 3 weeks, maybe, just in case somebody didn't see the email or whatever it might be.
Yeah, definitely some reminders.
Yeah.
Deadline is coming. Get your application ready.
You know, Mary, maybe we could talk to Ed Miller and he could put in something.
Well, I had planned, actually, I think I'd like to deal with Ed Miller for Wellfleet and the banner for Truro, because, well, it doesn't matter. But I can do all newspapers if you want. Ed could do extra information probably.
Yeah, Mary, if we put together a press release, not just an advertisement, we might get some traction.
Yeah, I think Ed would be receptive to a larger press release.
Why don't you reach out
That's
to
a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why don't you reach out to him? And is anyone actually, I'm so out of touch with the 21st century. Is anyone actually active on social media?
Facebook, the Wellfleet community page, I put something there. That's pretty
I
active.
don't even know, do you put it out on Instagram or whatever that it is?
I don't know Instagram. I think that would be a good idea if anybody does Instagram.
Can,
Do
I don't
Instagram.
know, we could ask Mia, she's still,
I could join. I could figure it out.
I don't think there's any town Instagram accounts. I've been trying to push for some town run like Instagram and actual Facebook groups besides the rumor mill of community space. So I don't think there are any. I really would be interested to see like how many people would use it, the Instagram, and follow it and stuff. But if you think having like a community preservation committee or something like that Instagram account would be worthwhile, it's definitely a thing you could do. I think Facebook seems to reach the most demographic of people.
Probably.
That was very politic of you.
right. Courtney, I'm just thinking that we should try to reach out to some of our younger population. Younger is a relative term, but
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I know a lot of other towns in Massachusetts that have a town-run Instagram account and a town-run Facebook account, so that like all the news is getting out to one point, and they post events and things like that. I don't even know if Recreation has an Instagram account. I don't think they. And actually, Wellfleet Recreation might have an Instagram account. I don't know their following though. But Mia could certainly help figure out what you think would be best. She's really, she's really hip with what the kids are doing these days.
so Mary, can you reach out to Mia and just see if she has any ideas on how to promote it? And Jan, I had
Yes.
one question for you.
Yes.
Is there any vehicle at the school?
Well, yeah, our principal is still putting out a weekly parent notice. And so I suppose, I mean, that's usually just for school news, but, I think a press release might work with that.
Okay.
I have a,
Mary
Well-
would send me her press release. I would send it on to Mary Beth Rodman and see what she wants to do with it.
can I have a point of information? This is Mike. So what happens if individuals say, I need money for my mortgage and send it to Mary? We're not dealing with individuals, right? We're looking for projects from organizations.
Right.
I'm going to send out today the information about both the housing helpline and the email sign up for all of you. And if you get any questions like that, just refer them to the helpline, and that's their best option in terms of getting some assistance. So I'll send that out to you today. So the answer to the question is just refer them to the best place to go for that assistance. And the other one is the Homeless Prevention Council, HPC.
Yeah, that's good, because I just don't want Mary being flooded by individuals.
Yeah.
No.
No, I'll send that out to everybody, so you may have that.
I think the present ad is clear that it's for organizations, but
Yeah, but once it starts going out on Instagram and these other sources, people don't read the details.
oh, I see, right.
Okay, that's a good point, and we'll, if again, we'll try to do the best we can to direct people to the resources that we have.
Very good.
Thank you, Michael. All right, other comments or questions about how we get the word out? Okay, so it's approaching 10. Try to keep it to an hour. So then, is there a need, do you think, for a meeting before the next one we would have scheduled would be July 22nd, which would be after the deadline for the grant applications. So that would be my proposal, but if people feel the need to have a touch base in May, or excuse me, in June, or in June, we could certainly do that.
I
think-
don't think so,
No,
No,
I-
I
because
think
we don't have
July,
anything really to deal with.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then under next meeting date, it would really be July 22nd,
right.
9 o'clock, Mary?
9 is fine with me.
Okay, and Courtney, is there anything else on the schedule for that date already?
Let me double check. What was it? Was it July you said?
July 22nd, which I assume is a Wednesday, Mary?
That's
It
right.
is.
Yes,
It's
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I don't have anything for July 22nd
Okay,
yet.
so can you book us for 9 o'clock on July 22nd, and we'll get you the agenda?
Sounds great.
Okay,
Good, thank you.
all right.
I move we adjourn.
Well, thank you very much, Jen, and everyone be safe, be healthy, be relatively sane, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for your help, Courtney.
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.